It is believed to be the world's most watched TV program. We take a look at this year's Spring Festival Gala. Hello, I'm Mike Walter, sitting in for Anna Naidu, and this is The Heat. It is watched by nearly 700 million people. China's Spring Festival Gala kicked off the new year on Friday. The week-long holiday begins the celebration of the Year of the Loong, or Dragon. CGTN's Wang has this report.
The festive atmosphere was clear from the get-go. The Year of the Dragon introduced in style. I'm backstage at the China Media Group 2024 Spring Festival Gala. After months of preparation, thousands of people's efforts in Beijing and at 4 other sub-venues, China's biggest annual party has finally kicked off. Hundreds of millions of Chinese and people all over the world tuned into China's biggest annual party, an epic extravaganza, as the CMG 2024 Spring Festival Gala celebrated the Lunar New Year. Together with the main venue in Beijing and 4 sub-venues in Liang, Hunan, Shanxi, and Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, the gala offered global audiences a wide range of performances, from singing, dancing, and the Chinese opera to martial arts, magic, acrobatics, and musicals. Huge efforts were made as thousands of people prepared for the show over the past year.
The program we participated in this time is called Youth. It's a positive and festive program. It's my first time being on such a big stage. I'm very excited.
We've been rehearsing in Beijing since the beginning of December, and now we can say the preparations are pretty mature.
We're celebrating the Spring Festival here. It has a special meaning. I really miss my family. I hope they get to see me on TV.
The Spring Festival Gala, or Chunwan, debuted in 1983 when TV sets were very rare in China. For over 40 years, families have gathered and waited in front of the TV. It's always a must-have seasoning for Chinese New Year's Eve dinner. It's considered more than a tradition, a sense of a ritual, part of the memory in every Chinese mind. More than 100 cities all over China and tens of countries across the world tuned in Friday to share the joy of China's Spring Festival. Wang, CGTN, Beijing.
To continue our conversation, let's bring in our panel. Joining us from Oregon, Liang is Chair Professor of Economics at Willamette University here in Washington, D.C. Ted Xu is a Chinese language teacher from California. Afra Wang is a tech executive and podcaster. And with us from Beijing, CGTN correspondent Gabriel Yue. And Gabriel, so great to see you. I remember just a couple of years ago, it seems like yesterday, you were sitting right here in the studio with me talking about ushering in the Year of the Tiger. But I also remember you talking about how you'd been here in the U.S. and it had been a couple of years of COVID and kind of a homesickness, and it really kind of changed your perception of this holiday. It wasn't so much about food, it was about the people you cherish. I know for 2 years you've been back in Beijing. Last year, just getting over COVID, people racing around, but this year, obviously, everyone's back to normal. So give me a sense of what it's been like these last few years and how perhaps your perceptions have changed.
Hello, Mike. Happy New Year. Yeah, well, thank you for remembering all of that. It all sounded very distant this time because I'm back with my family and we're celebrating as usual, as normal as everybody else. So things really have sort of changed back to, the festivities a lot. But this year it's pretty different for me because what we've seen during the report that there were months of preparations, and that's actually where I go to work every day. So seeing the festivities, seeing the gala, playing out so beautifully, but also knowing that it's where I work every day. It just has this very mixed feelings. For me, it's just seeing this beautiful gala with my family as a viewer, but also knowing how much effort, it was put into that behind the scenes. It's just a very, very, very double happiness for me. So yeah, this year is, as I was hearing you, recalling what our previous conversations previous years, like, yeah, that was a pretty challenging time, but now it's, just happiness.
And Gabriel, it's tough to really put into perspective this gala for a Western audience in the United States. I kind of say it's like the Super Bowl on steroids. Everybody's watching it. It's such a big event. What makes it so special, and kind of give us a sense of how it looked this year? I know you had a chance probably to peek in and see the rehearsals beforehand, but give us a sense of what it was like this year.
Yeah, I saw something every time I went to get my coffee at the office, but it was just there were just random pieces of the show. But seeing it playing out, as a whole with my family, is just beyond description. But I think what's so special about this gala for any Chinese, the tradition of it. We are already very used to having that around during our New Year's Eve dinner. We've seen in the report it's the must-have seasoning of our New Year's dinner. It's just like that when I was a child. It was like that when my parents were a child. So it was just something that we must have, and it would be weird not having that during our New Year's Eve dinner. And I think that's what makes it so different, because this gala, it's like the theme is Spring Festival celebration, but there were various elements in it. Some of the elements are, for example, my parents' favorite. Some of the elements are my cousin's favorite. Some of the elements are what's trending on social media. So it was like a little bit of everything. And that also gives many people something to talk about during this about even 4-hour celebration. So I think one show for everyone to talk about in different periods of the show and brings the whole family together at the moment of reunion is something that makes this gala so different and so special for many Chinese viewers.
Yeah, Jan, it's got something for everyone. And of course, when we think about this festival, we think about the travel that goes on in China, this mass migration. Everybody talks about it. It's plane, trains, automobiles, people racing all across the country to see loved ones and sit down and watch the gala and also have a great meal in the meantime. It obviously is a boost for the economy as well. Can you talk about the economic impact of this special Spring Festival?
Yeah, good to talk to you, Mike, and Happy New Year of the Dragon. So you're absolutely right. This is sort of Lunar New Year festival. It's also a great economic event. Last year, as COVID just, became this thing of the past and people start traveling, there were about 4.7 billion passenger trips last year. But this year, the estimation is 9 billion. So that is very mind-boggling. And as you just mentioned, people travel by railways, high-speed trains. 480 million trips were expected to, go through the railway system. Then another 18 million by air. But then a lot of people were also driving. 7.2 passenger trips were by self-driving cars. I think that also reflected, last year China sold 30 million cars, and that's a 12% increase. So people are driving cars, and a lot of them, 9 million, were EVs. So hopefully that would reduce a little bit the environmental impact. But in addition to that, people are buying, people are shopping for gifts for their families. The tourism spending last year was about $50 billion, and of course this year we're looking at a much bigger number. Box office is also expected to rake in about $1 billion of revenues with the 9 movies they're promoted in this Spring Festival. And not to mention many of the businesses, not only Chinese brands, but also American brands, for example, Apple's, Blueberry, many of these brands and retailers are promoting some of the specific, China-themed products and trying to, get more sales. So hopefully, this kinds of consumption and consumer-driven, economic recovery and growth will keep the momentum. Last year, retail sales have grown by 20%, and that is a great boost to the economy. So we're really hoping, in the Year of Dragon, consumers will gain more confidence and income and stable jobs, and they will go out to spend and, form that virtuous cycle of economic growth.
Yeah, 20%, that's a big, big number. Ted, the last couple of weeks I've been up in New York emceeing a couple of different galas up there. Obviously, this isn't just something that's celebrated in Beijing. It's also celebrated here in the United States. And to that point, late last year, New York Governor Kathy Hochul signed legislation, the Asian Lunar New Year, now a holiday for public schools. So no matter where it falls on the calendar, the kids are out of school and can go and celebrate. There is this embrace, not just in New York, but in other parts in the United States, of the Chinese culture of this special holiday. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. First, Happy New Year, 龙年大吉. And I really admire the kids in the New York City. Now they are really having, for the kids of have the Asian background, they really have a great chance to celebrate this. And as you said, this is celebrated worldwide for the Chinese-speaking populations, especially here. And like in our school, we have our own Spring Gala, and also for the for other schools and for all the people's associations, like the Beijing Association or the Shanghai Association, they have their own celebration. And also, I think it's very important to embrace the culture and also help others to understand the meaning of the culture and also the joy to share with them. Like in my class, we have been cramming the Spring Gala from CCTV this morning, and we have seen a lot of fantastic shows. So it is a very happy time for everyone to reunion for the people who are in China, and for the people who are over the sea, they also can share their joys with their friends and their families.
You know, Ted, to your point, 1/5 of the world's population celebrates the Spring Festival. So I want to talk about your efforts to merge not just the culture, but the language here in the United States, and what that journey's been like for you.
Yeah, this is my 17th year teaching at the U.S., and I started as a Chinese teacher at a university, now at a high school. I think for me, besides the language and the culture is a very critical part. For myself, I feel like over the 17 years, I've seen the growth of the learners from across the country, especially in our school and the schools around this area. People started to learning Chinese and send their kids to the school to learn Chinese because they want to know more about the country across the planet. And for myself, I'm really proud to see the growth, and I'm very happy to become part of the growth.
Afra, let me ask you about your day. Did you get up early and watch the gala, or just watching clips of it on social media? How about you?
Actually, I would want to concur to all the guests' comments about the Spring Festival Gala. It is a very, very special collective memory for multiple generations across my family. And actually, one thing I would love to share with you all is all my parents are here in California with me. And one special thing we prepared for tonight is actually the Chuxi for the U.S. is we're saving the 2024 Gala's highlight for tonight, because every year we would recount what's our the most memorable episode in those galas across our lives. And every time we would create inner jokes across the family, we would watch a lot of TikToks online and see what are the second sort of creation from the influencers, what are the laughable aspect of this gala. I think this gala is extremely special because previously we would predict who will be on the gala, and then during the night we would all sitting together, watch the gala while eating dumplings and other cuisines, and then after that we would make fun of the gala and just make the best out of it. So I think the gala is after all really, really special for me. I live in Mountain View, California, and California is a traditionally very, very diverse community, having a lot of Chinese immigrants. So seeing different communities in Oakland, in San Francisco, in Palo Alto, in here Mountain View, in Southern California, celebrating Chinese New Year is just really inspiring. I think it's very special about this year is I've been using ChatGPT to generate a very special prompt, a personalized Spring Festival greeting to my family and friends. And this year definitely feels more surreal than the other years. We've been told we're the offsprings of the dragon. We've been told we're Loong的传人. I feel like this year is definitely a lot more significant in terms of the symbolic meaning of the dragon. So yeah, really excited for this year, and Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, well, you were just talking about California. You're in the San Francisco Bay Area. Our correspondent out there, Mark New, filed a report. I want to show it to you, but I want to get your reaction on the other side. Let's watch Mark's story right now.
I'm here in San Francisco, Chinatown. This is Rose Pack Station, the newest sort of infrastructure project, a transit station for the subway. It connects San Francisco to San Francisco Chinatown, which is one of the most densely populated communities in San Francisco. About 10,000 people here. You can see the celebrations for the new year already getting underway. For example, here they have a special pop-up store which features local artists and their crafts along here. Now, if people buy things from Chinatown, they actually get to come over here, pick out a licee, and inside you get a special monetary discount gift certificate, $25, an interesting program.
This 3-week period for us generates about 30% of our economic activity for the entire year. So this is the most important economic period. It's the most important cultural period. Over the past 2 years, we've seen people come streaming back into Chinatown. It's not what exactly it was pre-pandemic, but we're getting there. The signs are good. And you know, one thing I really have to say, and I have to really give credit to the Chinese American community, the pandemic was really a wake-up call for us. It was a reminder that communities like Chinatown, our communities, aren't a given. They won't just exist. We have to intentionally nurture love.
San Francisco is not the only place creating an eye-catching spectacle for the Spring Festival. In Las Vegas, the world's largest spherical structure, called Sphere, stands at 366 feet, or about 110 meters, and 516 feet, or 157 meters wide. The new structure has a programmable LCD, and appearing on that screen, wishes for a happy Spring Festival, the message coming from Chinese company Tencent.
I believe the impact of display has been really great. Just now, I noticed many locals on the street who are not of Chinese descent, filled with great emotion toward our Spring Festival.
Honestly, before today, I only knew a little bit, but I spoke with my Chinese friend who was telling me about the New Year and about the Spring Festival. I believe he called it Guannian. But he was telling me that it's all about like celebrating with your family and friends.
Back in San Francisco, the celebrations continue. And right behind me now is the annual parade procession, which I'm told is about 5 times larger than in the past. This is where the streets of San Francisco really light up. You can see the city dignitaries, including the mayor of San Francisco, passing by right now. Mayor, any wishes for the new year?
Thank you so much.
And behind them, you can see all the children dressed in their bright colored traditional costumes, fan dancers. And no Chinatown parade would be complete without the stilt walkers. The parade procession ends right here at the Flower Market Fair. You can find people buying oranges, flowers, and all kinds of auspicious foods. One of the central themes is to bring home a live blooming plant to your household, a symbol of rebirth and new growth for the coming year. Mark New, CGTN, San Francisco.
Afra, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about San Francisco, its embrace of this holiday, also the traditions that are always there, but also these kind of new traditions that are growing. And you were talking about that in a sense about your family getting together and kind of joking about the gala and all of that. Give us a sense of how you're seeing this evolve there in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Absolutely. Actually, just seeing the streets of San Francisco reminds me of 3 years ago during COVID. That was a very tough moment for all the Chinese dissidents in the San Francisco Bay Area because, you know, that time was filled with not just the COVID pandemic, but there's anti-Asian hates and there's like a lot of crisis 3 years ago. But I think this year we're really seeing a San Francisco renaissance, not because of the entrepreneurship, the spirit of technology advancement, but more about really culture, like harmony. And, you know, the celebration we see on the street is really reviving and give us a lot of hope and aspiration. So I see Chinese New Year as a culture, as a piece of treasuring moment for everyone to celebrate is definitely across global. It's not a singular entity. It's not a singular festival only Chinese celebrate, but it is trendy. It is fun. It is exciting for everyone. It is just fashionable to celebrate Chinese New Year now in San Francisco, especially across younger generation, right? Everyone is like proud of themselves knowing more about Chinese language, the culture. It is futuristic in a sense, seeing everyone celebrating Chinese New Year in a place as diverse as San Francisco, especially San Francisco is also sort of culture hub as well as this opening window to China. And it's just like seeing everything makes me so happy.
You know, Jan, I was just in the Bay Area just a few months ago for a big international meeting. Of course, President Xi and President Biden sat down trying to iron out their differences. But one evening I was able to get away to Chinatown and spend some time with some of the people who own restaurants there and chat with them. And they basically told me they were just decimated by the pandemic. People stopped coming to Chinatown, and it was really hard. And it was really heartwarming to see Mark's piece and how actually they're trying to figure out a way to gin up the economy there with this holiday. Are you seeing that in communities here in the United States as well? I know we've talked about the economic impact of China, but what about here in the U.S.?
Right, absolutely. I agree with the fellow panelists. So these celebrations, these events are not only just celebrating culture, but also it really brings real, tangible economic benefits. I think, you know, the reporter and the interviewer was talking about, you know, this celebration generates about 30% of the Chinatown revenues for the whole year. So I think that is very significant. And I think, you know, I'm very grateful and see many Americans and, you know, non-Chinese community or non-Asian communities, they're really celebrating the culture. They're really, you know, praising for, you know, the cultural richness, and also they're enjoying the celebrations. You know, they're spending on gifts. They're you know, enjoying all the, you know, festivities. And I know that in the United States, it's not just California, but Colorado, New York, New Jersey, and the city of Boston, you know, they all made this Spring Festival as the public holidays, and people celebrate. And I think that is great. And I think for all these, you know, Chinatown residents and also the greater Asian communities, I think, you know, this is not only a festival that celebrates the culture, but also their hard work, you know, their resilience, their preservation during the hardships. And, you know, in the community that I lived in here in Portland, we only have about 6% of the Oregonians are self-identified as Asians. And yet we still have many festivals, many celebrations and performances. You know, tomorrow, which is the real sort of day for the new year, there are 3 or 4 different celebrations that I'm trying to, you know, split my time and trying to join some of these folks. And so I think it's great that these kinds of people-to-people exchanges, this people-to-people kind of understanding and respect to each other's cultures, and, you know, respect each other's sort of hard work. I think that it really laid the foundation, you know, for the relationships between the two countries, and the friendship and the cooperation and the co-prosperity.
You know, Gabriel, we haven't really talked a lot about the Year of the Dragon, its significance. What's the difference this year, would you say?
Well, you know, we have 12 animals to mark the years, and every year, every animal supposed to mean something auspicious. And dragon, obviously, or as the discussions have been going on, the Loong, as the Chinese version of the dragons, which is different from the Western version, means something that, you know, this is a mythological animal that flies, that brings good luck, that brings, you know, prosperity. So there are always good visions and hopes associated with the Year of the Dragon, or every other 11 animals as well. But I think what it means for everybody in China this year is that we are heading for a very robust start at the beginning of the year, especially comparing with the previous Spring Festival celebrations. We've seen in Mark's piece about how everything is being revitalized, and it's not just about the appearances in Chinatown, it's also about the spirit in everyone's celebration, in everyone's family.
Spirit, Ted, he talked about spirit, but a couple of years ago, he couldn't stop talking about the food, and he's also mentioned food. It's one of the traditions. So, Ted, talk to us about some of the traditions. There's gift giving, food. Give us a sense.
Sure. Yeah, I'm glad you still remember this. I still have it from last year, my favorite candy. So in class, we just went over what do we eat, what do we play, what do we watch, and the student answers them perfectly because I ask them every year. So traditionally for the Spring Festival Eve, we just do the watch the Spring Gala and eat the dumplings and eat the fish, because 年年有余, the fish sound in Chinese sounds like surplus. And also people watching the Spring Gala at the same time set up the firecrackers, and also the kids, their favorite part is getting the 红包 or the 压岁钱 from their parents or their grandparents. So those kind of traditions has lasted, I guess, for thousands of years, and also it still comes strong today, and even across the street, across the country, because we had a lot of snacks today for my students and friends, and some of them are from the Asian market. They're super good and yummy. And for every kid, I hope you got a lot of CGTN this year and spend them well.
Hey, Gabriel, it seems like it's interesting that every so often you have a year of the dragon this year, and in past years you'd have the celebration, but also we have the Olympics. This year also a big milestone. It is going to be the 75th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. So talk to us about the significance of that and how that folds into this year.
Well, I think it's a great element that adds value to the celebration because Spring Festival is heavily associated with the most traditional Chinese culture. And we've seen in other panelists' experiences that it's also being celebrated in all parts of the world. And I think when I was in the States, when I was in Brazil, I was like, yeah, this is Chinese community, this is Chinese culture. But this year that I'm back in China and I sort of got immersed in this world, I don't think that, there would be anyone that's not celebrating it. But now recalling my previous experience, I felt like this is about Chinese culture, this is about Chinese community, but this, at the core of it, it's just, a very welcoming party that just join us and celebrate. So I think having that in mind and knowing that, the country has developed for so many years and we already have, something else to celebrate also as a Chinese culture, it's just another layer, coming together for us to really feel proud and really feel that, this year of the dragon, and the symbol of China is a Chinese version of the dragon. So it all comes together and forms this very strong sense of pride in this coming new year.
All right, Gabriel, we've got about a minute left. We don't have the opportunity to go to Beijing and sit down at the table with the family, but you do. Give us a sense of what that dinner was like.
It was like every year. We ate dumplings, we ate all the traditional dishes. But one thing that's pretty different this year is that in my family, our own tradition is that we used to put a little coin in one of the dumplings, and whoever eats that dumpling with a little coin in it gets the best luck of the year. But since we already digitalized, we pay for everything in our phone, so we don't have coins anymore. So this year we're not doing that anymore. And I was kind of nostalgic about it. But well, the festival, the culture is evolving, so it's something that I have to adapt to. But yeah, it's like we have sort of the same dishes every year. It's just the best food that we can get out there in supermarkets. But still, the small things are evolving as well. But welcome to Beijing anytime and just come to my house.
Well, it's a deal. And hopefully the family's watching. They'll bring back the coin next year. I want to thank all of you for joining us. It's been a great discussion. We need to leave it there. I'm Mike Walter in Washington, D.C. Thanks so much for watching another edition of The Heat.